Howdy to Konaka, Dajahao, hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I am joined by Kru Nan from You Too Can Learn Thai as we go through some advice for advanced and intermediate Thai language learners. Sawadee ka, Kru Nan. Thank you for joining my channel today.
Of course, nice talking to you again.
No worries, thank you for joining the channel. It was really fun collabing last time, so it's nice for us to catch up again with some more advice videos for the listeners and watchers. As I said at the beginning of the video, we are just going through 5 advice that we have for intermediate to advanced learners. We've already done one for beginners, so we thought we'd switch up a bit and help those in the next category. The first thing we advise is to expand on topics that you can discuss. So for me personally, that would be things like societal things, political things, things that are above the sort of where you're from, what you can do, things like that. So what do you think about that, Kru Nan?
Yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes when you talk about yourself, it is very fluent and it is very easy, and that's normal. But then when you move up to other topics that you normally don't encounter or discuss at length with other people, then that can be a struggle.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree. And I think especially I can compare it to English for me in the sense of recently, as I'm sure everyone knows, the Queen of England died. That was something that we could discuss. I could discuss it in depth about what's going to happen, protocol, things like that. If you were to tell me to discuss that in Thai, I'd be like, now wait a minute.
Yeah, there are issues with both the vocabulary and the grammar as well, because when you discuss the societal topics, you would need some linking words that normally you wouldn't need in your normal conversation, because usually that's a sentence, separate sentences. But yeah, if you want to discuss at length, then you would need like more linking words or how to organize the whole discourse.
And the second thing, although we're saying move away and try and do these more in-depth topics, that does link to the second point of don't forget to still keep on top of the beginner stuff and don't get complacent and stop revising that stuff.
So how do you do that then? Do you have like a notebook of vocabulary, or how do you revise?
See, I'm not the best at this one. Because my problem is I've mentioned it before, is I often will forget to go over stuff. So the way I try to do it is I try to think of ways to insert it into a conversation. So when I'm speaking and practicing with my friends, language partners, I will try and still stay on top of those things. And if I really want to sort of revise, the one that I do is I'll listen to stuff. YouTube, podcasts, that sort of things. Because I'm a very sort of audio and visual learner. So if I can watch a video about it, rather than having to read it, then that's my preferred way of trying to stay on top of things like that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, try using it as much as possible. And sometimes there are things that you just need to memorize, just like what you said, like the months and then the days as well, the 7 days, and how to tell time as well. It sounds like so simple, but in Thai it's pretty complicated, like changing the word for every 6 hours or so. So yeah, just using it as much as possible and get input. Get a lot of input. If you listen to news, then there's a high chance that you will naturally absorb that, and then you have the context as well.
That links us to our third point, which is try and put yourself in positions to practice. So for example, if you are not living in Thailand, it's obviously going to be a lot harder to immerse yourself. So if you're not living in Thailand, try and go to maybe Thai restaurants, Thai shops, places that they will be speaking Thai. And if you can't do that, podcasts, YouTube, films, anything to keep you listening.
Yeah, immersion is really important, and I think it also gives you motivation as well. Kind of like if you listen to it and you feel that you are still able to speak in the language, even though you are not in the environment, it will motivate you to keep going into learning. So that's a good way to do that. And do you use any apps or any way to keep you practicing, like when you are not in Thailand?
Yeah, so what I was doing before I came was I was listening to a lot of podcasts That was the first thing. Like I'd listen to, I've made a video about different podcasts I would listen to, but I'd try and listen to something every day. And also just a lot of Thai dramas. I would watch a lot of dramas. I would listen to music. Although music is a little bit harder because obviously it's a bit quicker. The tones aren't necessarily always there, just purely for the beat and the rhythm and things like that. But it still helps you to listen and understand what's happening. Our fourth tip is, now you are no longer a beginner, it's time to go from just normal informal language to formal language and learning formal language. And now I'm going to pass over to Kru Nan because, just great timing, she has a very good episode to recommend.
Yes, so if you listen to YouTube Can Learn Thai podcast in episode 102 and 103, I talked about the difference, mainly on the lexical differences between the informal Thai and formal Thai. And when you think about informal and formal, it's not only about written language and the colloquial language. Sometimes when you speak and you are like in front of the public, then you need to use another kind of speech as well. So it's not just about writing, but formal language may apply to you if you are a working professional working in Thailand. It's important for you to know these words. Like most of the time when we say I don't know, we say ไม่รู้. But if you are in a workplace, that may offend some people. It sounds like I don't know, like I don't care. It may give that kind of impression. So in that case, รู้ will turn into ทราบ, which also means basically the same thing, no, but it's a formal version. So ไม่ทราบค่ะ ไม่ทราบครับ and that will be more appropriate.
Learning formal/polite language is, in my experience, very hard. This is a stage I'm at, guys. I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah, and well, I mean, because as a learner, if you are not like in a working situation, or if you are not a diplomat or in that kind of roles, then it's not frequent for you to be in that kind of situation where you would hear and you would need to use it. But once you would need to use it, you need to know that, right? So it's something that you may not have a lot of chance to learn, but when you need to use it, then maybe you are expected to know something about the formal language.
Definitely. I think if you're not in that situation, in the environment when you need it, then it's definitely going to take a lot more elbow grease in terms of learning it and remembering it, because you're not going to use it often. It's a bit like in your own native language. So for me, English, we have formal and informal English. I can do it in my sleep because I've been raised in English and I know and I work in English, I know business English, and all of that is easy for me. However, if you're learning it and you're not in that same environment, it feels impossible. And so that moves us on very nicely to our final point. Our fifth and final point is that we recommend that you practice and get good at your reading and writing. And why is that, Kru Nan?
Well, so most of the time when you start learning a language, it's natural that you start from the oral language, which is like speaking and listening first. And I think that's a good starting point. There is nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be fully functional in the target language, like if you want to absorb the information like native speakers do, many people, they not only exchange information just by talking, right? There are news that are written and there are books. Or if you want to be immersed in the culture, then you may want to read some novels. And at that point, you will need the reading and writing skills for sure.
Yes, and I think, so I've mentioned this before in my videos, that we should really try and have all of our skills improving at the same time, but naturally that's not the case for everyone. And so I would really recommend, if when it comes to reading, don't just jump in and be like, okay, so I know this book in English, for example, let's say the Harry Potter series, Lord of the Rings series, all of these very famous series. I can read them in English or my native language. I'm just going to buy the Thai version. I would not recommend that.
Oh, yeah.
That's like not being able to swim and jumping straight off a cliff. Like, it's a lot. So I would recommend, and what I've really loved is, actually, I've got it right next to me. I've been reading comic style books. So this is one one book that I've been reading, and it's like a whole series of different ones, and there are ghost stories, and these are aimed for children, and I love it because it's easy and I can actually read it and understand it, but it's not too easy to the point of I know everything, so there are still words that trip me up. But being able to finish an actual book that's aimed for, I think it's like maybe 10-year-olds, I'm not sure, is very motivating, but it also means I'm still improving reading different text, fonts, different styles, because as I said, it's a ghost story. So I would say start from these sort of books, not your thick novels that you can read in your own language, because like I said, you're going to be very demotivated if you suddenly I understand nothing.
So, and what's your strategy like when you see words that you don't know in the book? Do you look up dictionary right away, or do you try to guess, or what do you do?
Yeah, so when I don't understand the word, I try and figure it out from the context if I can figure it out. And if I'm just like, no, this I have not even a remote chance of knowing, then I will use combination of Google Translate and my Thai dictionary. And the reason I use both is because sometimes Google Translate is good, but sometimes it's not. So I like to use the dictionary to kind of just confirm that what Google Translate has said is correct. That is the end of today's video, and I just wanted to again say another thank you to Kru Nan for joining. And
you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And everyone watching, please do go to Kru Nan's Spotify. Well, not just Spotify, but her podcast. She's streaming on multiple platforms. I will link them down below. Also, her YouTube, hit the subscribe over there and keep up with her channel. She makes amazing videos on how to learn Thai, and they are very, very useful. I say videos, also podcasts, mainly podcasts. I'm so used to saying videos on this channel. So she makes amazing podcasts about how to learn Thai, and it will help you a lot. As I've already mentioned in my podcast video that I made before, her podcast is one of the ones that I've used to learn Thai and keep on top of it. So definitely do go over there and stream her podcast and all that good stuff. But also do smash the like and the share and subscribe on this channel. Drop in the comments any of your tips that you've encountered from learning Thai, anything you would love to share, and if there are any questions you would love us to answer, just drop them all down below. And as that is the end, I'll give another thank you. Khop kun ka, Kru Nan. And then, as always, everyone at home, have a very blessed day. And until next time, Sawadee Tuk Kon Naka. Zaijian. Goodbye, everyone.